The ice-crusted asteroid known as KL-427 hung silently in the void beyond Neptune. Dr. Sora Kim adjusted her helmet's oxygen levels as she carefully brushed away ancient dust from what had at first appeared to be natural rock formations. 3. Weeks of meticulous excavation had revealed something far more exciting, deliberate patterns etched into the asteroid's core material. "Tay, come look at this," she called through the comm system. "I've never seen markings like these before." "Tay, Park?" Her research assistant pushed off from his sampling station and drifted toward her in the low gravity. His breath fogged his helmet as he leaned closer to examine her discovery. "It's not Arcturian, not Pleiadian either," he said, referencing the two oldest known alien writing systems. "The patterns seem almost familiar somehow." Sora nodded, feeling the same strange recognition. "That's what bothers me. They don't match any catalogued alien language, yet something about them feels like I should understand them." Their small research vessel, the Horizon Seeker, had been investigating unusual energy signatures in the Kuiper Belt for nearly a month. The United Earth Science Division had expected they might find evidence of ancient alien mining operations. Nobody had anticipated anything like this. "The scanner's picking up a hollow space beneath us," called Jinwoo, their team engineer, from the portable sensor station they'd established. Massive void about 30 meters down. 3 hours later, after carefully cutting through layers of compacted asteroid material, Sora lowered herself into a dark chamber that had remained sealed for countless millennia. Her headlamp cut through the darkness, illuminating small particles of dust that hung motionless in the vacuum. As Tay and Jinwoo descended behind her, she activated the powerful floodlights they'd brought. "Stars above," whispered Jinwoo, his voice barely audible over the comm. Before them stretched an enormous hangar bay. Not built into the asteroid had been constructed around it as camouflage, and filling the hangar were ships, dozens of them, warships by the look of their sleek, predatory designs. Each vessel was easily the size of an Earth destroyer, with smooth hulls of a dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Are those weapon ports?" Tay asked, pointing to regular indentations along the nearest ship's hull. Sora's scientific mind raced with possibilities. This shouldn't be possible. No known alien civilization has ventured this far into our solar system before first contact 2 centuries ago. They approached the nearest vessel with cautious steps. Its design was unlike anything in the galactic archives. Not Meridian, not Vortan, not even ancient Keldarian. Yet something about the ships stirred a deep recognition in Sora. "There's an entry point here," called Jinwoo, who had drifted to an indentation in the hull. Tay ran his gloved hand along the smooth material. "This is impossible," he whispered. "The craftsmanship, it's beyond anything I've ever seen." Sora joined them at what appeared to be an airlock. Strange symbols were etched around its perimeter, symbols that, despite their alienness, triggered something in her mind. Almost like a half-remembered dream. "These look like Sanskrit," she said, confusion evident in her voice. "But older, much older. Proto-Sanskrit, maybe?" "That can't be right," Tay replied. "That would make these ships human," Sora finished, "or built by humans' ancestors." Using portable equipment, they managed to collect samples from the ship's exterior. Hours later, back aboard their research vessel, the carbon dating results left them staring at each other in stunned silence. "Run it again," Sora ordered, not believing the readout. Jinwoo shook his head. "I've run it 3 times. The material dates back approximately 300,000 years. That's before Homo sapiens even evolved on Earth. Yet the markings contain elements of proto-human languages," Tay added, scrolling through comparison analysis on his tablet. "Not just Sanskrit. There are traces of Proto-Sumerian, ancient Chinese logographs, and symbols that predate any written language we know of." Sora felt a chill run through her body that had nothing to do with the cold of deep space. "We need to go back in." They spent the next 12 hours preparing for a more thorough exploration. This time they brought power units and atmospheric generators. After establishing a temporary base in the hangar, they focused their attention on what appeared to be the command ship, larger than the others, positioned centrally in the formation. I think this is some kind of access panel, Jinwoo said, examining a section of the hull near what they presumed was the bridge. But there's no obvious mechanism. Sora studied the panel carefully. An idea formed, radical, perhaps even foolish, but something compelled her to try. She removed her glove, pressed her palm against the cold metal, and watched in astonishment as the panel illuminated with a soft blue light. DNA recognition? Tay whispered in awe. The panel slid open, revealing a corridor illuminated by lights. That activated as they approached. The ship had been waiting, dormant but not dead. They made their way to what could only be the command center, a circular room with stations positioned around a central holographic projector. When Sora approached, the main console it hummed to life under her touch. "It's responding to us." "Two humans," she said, voice trembling with excitement and fear. Ancient screens flickered with symbols that slowly transformed into recognizable text before their eyes, as if the ship was learning, adapting to their modern language patterns. And then a message appeared, floating in holographic clarity above the central platform. "The children have returned. The progenitors await reawakening." The ship trembled slightly, systems powering up after hundreds of thousands of years of dormancy. Outside they could see other vessels in the hangar beginning to glow with interior lights. "Sora, what does it mean by children?" Tay asked, voice tense. She stared at the message, a profound understanding dawning. "It means we're not who we thought we were. Humanity isn't just another species that evolved on Earth. We were something else first, something that ruled the stars, and then forgot." The holographic display expanded, showing star maps and fleet positions from an era when humans, or their ancestors, commanded not just a few colonies around nearby stars as they did now, but entire regions of the galaxy. "We need to alert Earth immediately," Jinwoo said urgently. "No," Sora replied, watching as more systems activated around them. "First, we need to understand what we've found, because if these ships are waking up after all this time, it means something else is happening. Something they were built to face." As if in response to her words, a new message appeared. "Warning. Sentinel protocols activated. The Harbinger's approach. Fleet awakening sequence initiated." Despite Sora's hopes to keep their discovery quiet until they understood it better, news traveled fast. The Horizon Seekers' automated research logs had been transmitted to Earth's Science Division during their scheduled data burst. Within 48 hours, every major news network across human space was buzzing with reports of ancient ships of possible human origin discovered in the Kuiper Belt. Earth's united government attempted damage control, but it was too late. The Galactic Conclave, a federation of 27 spacefaring species that had reluctantly accepted humans as junior members only 30 years ago, demanded immediate access to the site. "They're sending a scientific delegation," Commander Han, the expedition's security chief, reported during their emergency meeting in the Horizon Seekers mess hall. His weathered face looked even more severe under the harsh lighting. 16 representatives from various species, plus their security detail. "We can't refuse them access under the Conclave Charter," Sora said, pushing her food tray aside untouched. "But something doesn't feel right about this." Commander Han nodded grimly. "My thoughts exactly. The Conclave has never shown this much interest in human archaeological findings before. They've always treated our scientific discoveries as primitive curiosities at best. Because this isn't just any discovery," Tay said, looking up from the datapad where he'd been analyzing the ship's command systems. "If these vessels prove humans once had advanced technology that predates known galactic civilization, it changes everything." 3 days later, the Conclave delegation arrived aboard the Stellar Envoy, a sleek diplomatic vessel that dwarfed their research ship. The delegation was led by Ambassador Nixivan, a tall, blue-skinned Seldarian with 4 arms and eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. "Dr. Kim," the ambassador said, bowing slightly, "the Conclave extends its gratitude for your cooperation in this matter of galactic significance." Something in the ambassador's tone put Sora on edge. The Seldarians were among the oldest spacefaring races, claiming a continuous civilization spanning nearly 50,000 years. They had always regarded humans as barely evolved primates who had stumbled into space travel through luck rather than ingenuity. "We're happy to share our findings," Sora replied diplomatically. "Though we've only begun to understand what we've discovered." The delegation insisted on immediate access to the hangar. Sora noted how the various alien scientists seemed less interested in studying the ships than in examining their systems up close. A pair of Vrel engineers, insectoid beings with compound eyes and delicate manipulator limbs, spent hours near what Sora's team had identified as the propulsion systems. That evening, Commander Han called Sora to the security office. His face was grim as he activated a holographic display showing security footage. "Watch the Vrel engineers," he said quietly. Sora observed as the footage showed the insectoid aliens placing small devices on critical junctions of the ancient ship's power systems. The devices pulsed with a soft light before seemingly melding with the ship's structure. "Sabotage devices," Han explained. "Military grade, designed to look like they're scanning but actually corrupting the systems from within." "They're trying to disable the ships," Sora whispered, anger rising in her chest. "Or destroy them." "It gets worse," Han said, switching to another feed. "I had Officer June monitor their communications. The Conclave isn't just interested in studying these ships. They're terrified of them falling into human hands." June, the communications officer, nodded grimly. "They're using a quantum-encrypted channel, but our AI managed to partially decrypt it. Their orders are clear. Assess the threat level of the vessels and neutralize if possible." "Why would they—" Sora began but stopped as realization dawned. "Because if humans truly were these progenitors the ship mentioned, then we weren't just some primitive species that got lucky," Han finished. "We were once powerful enough to make the current. Conclave species look like children playing with toys." Their meeting was interrupted by an alarm blaring throughout the research station. Jinwoo burst into the room, his face pale. "Something's happening with the ships," he gasped. "They're activating defense protocols." They rushed to the hangar observation deck. Below, the ancient vessels were pulsing with energy, their previously dormant systems now glowing with blue-white light. The Conclave delegation was in disarray, some rushing to remove their sabotage devices, while others fled toward their shuttle. "The activation sequence we triggered must have included some kind of automated distress signal," Tay explained, examining the readouts on his tablet. "The ships think they're under attack." A deep rumble shook the asteroid as the command ship's weapon systems came online. Through the observation window, Sora watched in awe as massive weapon ports opened along the vessel's flanks, revealing technology that made modern human defenses look primitive by comparison. "Dr. Kim," Ambassador Nixavan approached, his four arms gesticulating in obvious distress. "You must shut down these systems immediately. You don't understand the forces you're dealing with." "Perhaps you should explain exactly what you know about these ships," Sora replied coldly, "since your team was so busy trying to sabotage them." Before the ambassador could respond, Officer June burst onto the deck, his face ashen. "Long-range sensors are picking up massive fleet movements," he reported. 3 separate armadas have altered course toward our solar system. They're moving at speeds." "That shouldn't be possible." The holographic display showed the approaching fleets, one from the direction of the Orion Arm, another from the Galactic Core, and a third from the trailing edge of the Perseus Arm. "They've positioned warships near Neptune already," reported June, eyes fixed on the monitor. "Some kind of advanced scouts. They're using jump technology we've never seen before. We have hours at most before the main fleets arrive." "Which species are they?" Han demanded. "All of them," June replied. "The Seldarians, the Vrel, the Mokhtar. Every major conclave power has dispatched their military. They're not coming to study these ships. They're coming to claim them or destroy them." Ambassador Nixivan's skin paled to a lighter blue. "You don't understand. Those ships are the inheritance of all advanced species. The progenitor technology belongs to the Conclave, not to humans alone." "That's not what the ship's computer said," Sora countered. "It recognized human DNA. It called us the children." Diplomatic channels erupted with demands and threats. Each approaching fleet claimed the ancient vessels as their rightful inheritance, citing obscure conclave laws and historical precedents. Earth's united government, outmatched and outgunned, tried desperately to negotiate. As tensions escalated, Sora made a decision. While politicians argued and fleets advanced, she and her team returned to the command ship. The vessel's systems had been steadily coming online since their discovery, as if awakening from a long slumber. "If these ships recognized us as descendants of their creators," she told her team as they gathered on the bridge, "then maybe they'll respond to our commands." Tay nodded, understanding her plan. "And if the Conclave wants to destroy these ships rather than let humans have them, then we need to find out if the weapons still work," Sora finished grimly, "because we're going to need them." The ancient command ship's bridge hummed with energy as systems awakened after hundreds of millennia of dormancy. Sora's team worked frantically to understand the unfamiliar technology, while Commander Han coordinated with Earth's defense forces via quantum comm. "The Keldarian fleet has deployed a blockade around Pluto's orbit," Han reported grimly. "Mokhtar vessels are establishing position near the Jupiter defense stations. They're boxing us in." Sora barely heard him. She stood transfixed before a holographic interface that responded to her movements with startling precision. The alien yet somehow familiar control systems felt natural under her fingers, as if some deep part of her remembered how to use them. "I think I've found a way into the historical archives," she called out. "Tay, Day, I need you both here." Day, the team's linguistics expert, rushed over. His eyes widened as symbols floated across the holographic display, shifting between ancient forms and more recognizable patterns. "The ship is adapting its interface to match our current language patterns," Day explained, his fingers moving deftly through the air as he sorted through data streams. "It's learning from us while teaching us how to access its systems." With each passing minute, more of the ship's database became accessible. Historical records, star charts, battle logs, a library of information so vast it would take generations to fully explore. "I've found something," Tay announced from a nearby console. "I think it's some kind of historical overview, a timeline?" The central holographic projector flared to life, displaying a three-dimensional representation of the Milky Way galaxy. Pinpoints of light indicated inhabited worlds, thousands of them, far more than the current known census of life-bearing. Planets. A date indicator showed a period approximately 400,000 years in the past. "That can't be right," whispered Jinwoo, the engineer. "There weren't any advanced civilizations that far back. The oldest known spacefaring species are the Seldarians, and they only achieved interstellar travel 50,000 years ago." The display shifted, showing vessels, similar to the one they stood in, moving between star systems. The ships departed from a central point, a world that was unmistakably Earth. "Stars above," Day breathed, his face illuminated by the blue glow of the hologram. "We were the first. We created them all." The timeline advanced, showing human vessels terraforming barren worlds, seeding them with engineered life forms that evolved over thousands of generations. The spreading pattern of civilization matched exactly the current distribution of intelligent species across the galaxy, including the homeworlds of every Conclave member race. "This can't be possible," Jinwoo argued, though his voice lacked conviction. It would mean humans aren't newcomers to galactic civilization," Sora finished, her voice steady despite the earth-shattering implications. "We're the architects of it, the progenitors the ship mentioned." The hologram shifted again, this time showing a massive conflict. Strange vessels, unlike any design they recognized, appeared at the galaxy's edge. The battle scenes were rendered in brutal clarity, entire star systems consumed in energy weapons that distorted space itself. Billions of lives, lost as planets, were shattered or rendered uninhabitable. "What are those ships?" Han asked, pointing to the unknown aggressors. "They don't match any known configuration." Day consulted the data stream beside him. "The translation is rough, but they're called harbingers, extragalactic invaders. They came from beyond the void between galaxies." The holographic display showed the desperate defense mounted by the ancient human fleets. Despite their advanced technology, they were being pushed back, losing ground with each passing year. "Here," Tay said suddenly, pointing to a tactical display. This was their final strategy. They watched as the remaining human fleets converged on Earth, bringing with them representatives of the various seeded species that had achieved sentience. Her great council was convened, the historical precursor to the modern galactic conclave. They knew they couldn't win through conventional means, Day translated, reading the data streams. So they implemented something called the Resurrection Protocol. The hologram showed human scientists working on a massive genetic project while their remaining fleets held the harbingers at bay. The most powerful warships and weapons were hidden throughout the galaxy, cloaked by technology that rendered them undetectable, left in dormant states until they would be needed again. They modified their own genetics, Sora realized aloud. They made themselves forget. The final scenes showed Earth being transformed, climate patterns altered, continental positions shifted through controlled tectonic manipulation. Human civilization was systematically dismantled, its people genetically modified, to lose access to their advanced knowledge and technology. They became primitive again, destined to evolve anew, unaware of their true heritage. They hid in plain sight, Han said, understanding dawning on his weathered face. They became primitive so thoroughly that even the harbingers couldn't detect them anymore. And the seeded species they had created, our current allies in the conclave, were entrusted with guarding the secret, Tay added, anger edging his voice. They were supposed to watch over us until we were ready to reclaim our heritage. Instead, they've been keeping us down, Jinwu said, limiting our technological progress, restricting our expansion. All those regulations and quotas the conclave places on human colonies and research, they're afraid of us remembering who we were, Sora finished, and they have good reason to be. A new data stream opened, revealing coordinates scattered throughout the galaxy, dozens of locations where other fleets lay hidden, waiting to be awakened. Many were in systems now claimed as the ancestral territories of the very conclave members, who were positioning to attack Earth. Look at this, Day said, pointing to a flashing indicator on one system. This says a reactivation signal has been sent to all dormant fleets. When we woke this ship up, it started waking the others. Officer. June's voice came urgently over the comm system. Dr. Kim, the alien fleets are moving into attack formation. The Vrel Admiral is demanding our immediate surrender and withdrawal from the ships. Sora stared at the galaxy map, at the thousands of worlds her ancestors had seeded with life, at the dozens of hidden fleets waiting to be reclaimed. She thought of the billions of humans on Earth who had no idea of their true heritage, who were about to face annihilation because of a truth kept hidden for thousands of generations. Tell Earth's government what we've discovered, she ordered. Han, send them everything, the historical records, the star charts, the locations of the other fleets. The people of Earth deserve to know who they really are before they have to fight for their survival. She turned to Tay. How close are we to having weapons control? The targeting systems are online, he reported. But Sora, even this one ship, against 3 fleets, we don't need to win, she said, her eyes reflecting the glow of the ancient controls. We just need to hold them off long enough for humanity to remember. The command ship's systems pulsed with energy as final activation protocols completed. Sora stood at what they had determined was the captain's position, surrounded by holographic displays showing the approaching alien fleets. Earth's meager defense forces, a collection of orbital platforms and a few hundred military vessels, had moved to intercept, but they were hopelessly outmatched. The Seldarian flagship is hailing us, Officer June reported from the communications station. They're demanding our immediate surrender. Sora glanced at Commander Han, who nodded grimly. Tell them we need to consult with Earth's government. We're just buying time, she explained to her team. The ship's systems are still calibrating. We need another 15 minutes before we can break free of the asteroid's containment hangar. On the main view screen, they watched as the first shots were fired. A Mokhtar cruiser launched a volley of energy weapons at an Earth defense platform near Jupiter. The platform crumbled under the assault, its fragments drifting into the gas giant's orbit. They're not even trying to negotiate anymore, Tay said, his hands moving rapidly over the unfamiliar controls. They're going straight for our defenses. Hyun, the team's quiet astrogation specialist who had reluctantly taken position at what appeared to be the weapons console, flinched as more Earth vessels disappeared from the tactical display. People are dying while we sit here, he said, his voice tight with frustration. Not for much longer, Sora promised. She turned to Jinwoo. Engine status? Power levels at 87% and climbing, the engineer reported. Whatever these ships use for propulsion, it's not like anything we've seen before. It's like they bend space rather than moving through it. A klaxon sounded throughout the bridge as red warning symbols flashed across multiple displays. What's happening? Sora demanded. The Vrel ships have detected our power-up sequence, Tay explained. They're moving to attack our position directly. Commander Han's face hardened. We're out of time. We launch now or we die in this asteroid. Sora nodded decisively. Jinwoo, break us out. Hyun, weapons hot. Despite never having operated such a vessel before, each crew member moved with increasing confidence, as if muscle memory they never knew they possessed was awakening. The ancient warship shuddered as its engines engaged, the massive hangar doors still closed above them. Hold on. Jinwoo called out as he activated the main drive. The ship surged upward with astonishing force, smashing through layers of asteroid material like it was paper. Rock and ice fragments scattered into space around them as the vessel emerged from its millennia-long hiding place. Multiple hostiles locking weapons on our position, Hyun reported, his hands hovering over glowing interfaces that seemed to respond to his thoughts as much as his touch. Defensive systems online, Tay called out. Some kind of energy shield. I've never seen before. Just as he finished speaking, the first volley of Vrel weapons fire struck the ancient vessel. Instead of causing damage, the energy seemed to be absorbed into the ship's hull, causing it to glow briefly. The shield is converting their weapon energy and adding it to our power reserves, Jinwoo said in amazement. It's actually making us stronger. Sora gripped the edges of the command console. Hyun, target the lead Vrel cruiser. Let's show them who they're dealing with. Hyun hesitated for only a moment before placing his hands into what appeared to be neural interface nodes. His eyes widened as his consciousness merged partially with the ship's targeting systems. The targeting system. It feels like an extension of my own mind, he whispered, or replacing his earlier reluctance. A beam of concentrated energy, blindingly bright and tinged with blue-white fire, lanced from their vessel toward the Vrel cruiser. The alien ship's shields flared briefly before collapsing, and then the cruiser itself seemed to fold inward, crushed by forces that defied conventional physics. By the stars, June breathed. One shot. More hostiles incoming, Han warned. They're converging on our position. Sora felt the ship responding to her instincts, almost as if it could sense her intentions. Jinwoo, get us closer to Neptune. We need room to maneuver. The ancient warship accelerated at speeds that should have crushed them with G-forces, yet everyone on the bridge remained comfortably in place, protected by inertial control systems far beyond current human technology. As they approached Neptune's orbit, they found themselves facing a formation of Keldarian and Mokhtar warships, dozens of vessels arranged in attack patterns, weapons primed. We can't take on that many at once, Commander Han cautioned. But Sora had noticed something on the tactical display. We don't have to. Look, they're clustered too tightly together. Hyun, target the lead ship's drive core. Understanding dawned on Hyun's face as he interfaced with the weapons systems. This time, he showed no hesitation. The ancient ship fired again, the beam striking the Seldarian flagship's engine section with surgical precision. The resulting explosion cascaded through the tightly packed formation. Ships collided with each other as they tried to evade the expanding energy wave. Secondary explosions bloomed across the battlefield as the careful formation dissolved into chaos. A third of their fleet, Tay reported in amazement, disabled or destroyed in one attack. But even as they celebrated this small victory, June received an urgent communication from Earth. The main fleets have broken through our outer defenses, he reported grimly. They'll reach Earth within the hour. Sora clenched her fist. One ship won't be enough no matter how powerful. At that moment, a strange report came through from Earth's surface. All across the planet, people were experiencing intense dreams and visions, images of stars, ancient battles, and technologies long forgotten. Some awakened with knowledge they couldn't explain, speaking languages they had never studied. understanding scientific principles that had eluded humanity's greatest minds. It's the Resurrection Protocol, Day realized, looking up from his console, where he'd been analyzing the ship's historical database. The activation of this vessel has triggered dormant genetic memories across the human population. The knowledge of the progenitors, it's coming back to us. Reports flooded in from Earth's military installations. Strange coordinates had appeared simultaneously on computer systems worldwide, often accompanied by ancient symbols matching those found on the ship. Military units dispatched to these locations were discovering hidden bunkers, subterranean facilities, and underwater installations containing technology that had lain dormant for hundreds of thousands of years. "Look at this," June called out, displaying a video feed from the moon. A massive hangar door was opening on the lunar dark side, revealing dozens of ships similar to their own. "They hid them everywhere," Tay whispered. "Right under our noses." Transmission came through from Earth's unified military command. The Admiral's face showed a strange mixture of awe and determination. "Dr. Kim," she said, "we're receiving reports of ancient weapons systems activating across the solar system, technology we never knew existed. People are remembering how to use them." She shook her head in wonder. "Whatever you've awakened, out there it's spreading. We're starting to remember who we are." Sora felt a profound sense of purpose wash over her. "Admiral, we need to coordinate our defenses. This ship has tactical data on the alien fleets, their weaknesses, their blind spots." "Send everything you have," the Admiral agreed. "We'll hold them off as long as we can." As Earth's forces rallied, integrating newly discovered technologies with their existing defenses, Sora gazed at the tactical display showing the approaching armadas. The odds were still overwhelming, but something had changed. Humanity was awakening to its true potential, reclaiming the heritage that had been hidden for so long. "Take us into the fight," she ordered. "It's time to remind the galaxy who we really are." 3 days after the first activation, Earth's defensive posture had transformed. Hidden caches of progenitor technology had been discovered on every continent, beneath every ocean, and throughout the solar system. Humanity's collective memory continued to awaken, with people across the planet experiencing sudden insights and abilities they couldn't explain. Sora stood on the bridge of what they now knew was called the Ascendant Light, the command vessel of the ancient fleet. Through the main viewport, she watched as dozens of recovered ships maneuvered into formation around Jupiter's orbit. The gas giant's swirling storms provided a dramatic backdrop for humanity's impromptu armada. "I never thought I'd see anything like this," Commander Han said, standing beside her. His normally stern face showed rare amazement. 3 days ago, most of these people were farmers, teachers, ordinary citizens. Now they're piloting warships that predate known civilization. Sora nodded. "The genetic memory activation is working faster than we anticipated. People aren't just remembering how to operate the technology, they're remembering who we were." On the tactical display, she could see the remaining Conclave fleets regrouping. Their initial assault on Earth had been repelled, not through superior numbers, but through the shocking effectiveness of the newly awakened progenitor technology. A single recovered defense platform in Earth orbit had destroyed 12 Vrel battlecruisers before they could even enter weapons range. "They're forming a new attack formation," Tay reported from his console. "Looks like they're planning to make a coordinated push through the Jupiter defense line." "Let them come," Hyun said with quiet confidence. After 3 days of connecting with the ship's systems, he had developed an almost supernatural ability with the weapons controls. "We're ready for them." The communication system chimed. "All ships reporting ready, Dr. Kim," Officer June announced. "The Earth fleet is in position, and lunar defenses are online." Sora took a deep breath. The Conclave vessels outnumbered them nearly 5 to 1. Despite the power of the progenitor ships, the coming battle would test humanity's newly awakened skills to their limits. "All ships, advance formation," she ordered. "Remember your training, trust your instincts. The knowledge is within you. You just need to let it surface." The human fleet moved with surprising coordination for crews who had only days of experience. The genetic memory awakening had given them more than just technical knowledge. It had granted them tactical understanding, battle formations and strategies honed over thousands of years of warfare. The first shots came from the Seldarian flagship, energy weapons lancing across space toward the human vessels. But unlike in previous encounters, the progenitor ships didn't merely absorb the energy, they redirected it, capturing and channeling the hostile fire into their own weapon systems. "The unity field is working," Jinwoo called out, excitement evident in his voice. "All ships are sharing shield energy and redistributing attacks." What followed was unlike any battle in recorded history. The human fleet moved as a single organism, ships darting between Jupiter's moons, using the gas giants' radiation belts to mask their movements. Ancient weapons that bent space itself, carved through enemy formations with surgical precision. On the bridge of a Mokhtar destroyer, Admiral Kravosh watched in growing horror as his carefully planned assault crumbled before the human counterattack. "Impossible," he growled, his reptilian features contorted with rage. "They couldn't have mastered those systems so quickly. They're primitives." His tactical officer, eyes wide with fear, pointed to the main view screen. "Sir, they're not primitive. They're remembering." The battle reached its climax near Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede. Trapped between the human fleet and the moon's newly activated defense systems, the Conclave Armada found itself surrounded on all sides. Communication signals flooded the channels, as alien commanders desperately called for retreat. "They're breaking formation," Tay reported. "The Vrel ships are pulling back. The Seldarians are trying to open a jump point, but our disruptors are preventing them from escaping." Sora watched the tactical display, feeling no joy at the victory, only a deep sense of rightness, as if a historical wrong was finally being corrected. "Open a channel to the Conclave flagship," she ordered. The face of Ambassador Nixivan appeared on screen, his blue skin now pale with fear and exhaustion. "Dr. Kim," he said, his voice subdued, "it appears we have miscalculated." "You did more than miscalculate, Ambassador," Sora replied evenly. "You betrayed your creators, the very beings who seeded your worlds with life, who guided your evolution, who entrusted you with a sacred duty." The ambassador's forearms moved in a gesture of supplication. "What would you have us do? Our ancestors feared the return of the progenitors. They feared what would happen when humans reclaimed their power. We're not interested in retribution," Sora said. "We want the truth. A new conclave will be formed, one that acknowledges humanity's true place in galactic history." 2 weeks later, Sora stood before the reformed galactic conclave in their grand chamber on the neutral world of Arcturus Prime. Representatives from all 27 spacefaring species watched in solemn silence as she approached the central podium, no longer as a junior delegate but as the representative of the progenitor race. "Today we reclaim not just our past, but our future," she announced, her voice carrying through the vast chamber. "For too long the truth has been hidden, that humans were not newcomers to the stars, but the architects of galactic civilization itself." Murmurs rippled through the assembled delegates. Some showed fear, others respect, and a few displayed what could only be described as relief, as if a great burden had been lifted from their collective conscience. "But our awakening comes not a moment too soon," Sora continued, gesturing to the holographic display behind her. It showed a massive energy signature detected at the edge of the galaxy, a disturbance in space unlike anything recorded in modern times. "The database from our flagship has revealed humanity's greatest purpose," she explained. "Our ancestors didn't hide themselves away on Earth just in defeat. They implemented the Resurrection Protocol as a safeguard against a threat they knew would someday return, the Harbingers. According to their calculations, that return would happen in this very century." The display zoomed in on the anomaly, revealing faint shapes moving through the void between galaxies. Massive constructs, of unknown design and purpose, yet somehow familiar from the ancient battle records. "Our ancestors faced this enemy once before, and could not defeat them through conventional means," Sora said, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words. "So they enacted a plan spanning hundreds of thousands of years. They hid their most powerful technologies throughout the galaxy, modified their own genetics to become undetectable, and waited for the moment when they would be needed again." She looked out at the assembled delegates, meeting the gaze of each species representative. That moment is now. The harbingers approach from intergalactic space, and humanity, the children of Earth, stand ready to fulfill our ancestors' purpose. Not as conquerors reclaiming an empire, but as guardians of all life in this galaxy. As she finished speaking, reports came in from progenitor sensor arrays throughout the galaxy, confirming what the ancient records had foretold. The forgotten enemy had returned, and the final battle for the galaxy's survival was about to begin. But this time humanity wouldn't face the threat alone. As Sora looked out at the conclave chamber, she saw determination replacing fear in the eyes of the delegates. After all, despite their differences, they were all children of the progenitors in the end, all part of the grand design that had seeded the stars with life, and together they would defend it. The end.